Good evening, guys. Welcome to the show. Welcome back. Welcome to 2023. Wow.
Yay.
I hope everyone had a great holiday. How was yours, Kathy?
It was good. It was all right. It was we actually had a really good time. School starts again tomorrow. Yeah, I kind of liked not having to get up at the break of dawn, but it's all good. we're back at it tomorrow. Yes. But no, we had a great holiday. We had a great Christmas. Went to my sister's, got to meet all the in-laws and stuff. It was really good. My daughter's side of the family and everything, and we had lots of fun. How about you guys?
My Christmas was nuts. So I mean, I have 6 kids of my own, and one of them's married now, so her and my son-in-law came, and then 3 out of my 4 sisters came with their families, and then my dad also came. So at one point I think we had over 30 people in my house. It was, I mean, it's nice to have family over, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it kind of brings that whole Christmas spirit and stuff, since and my mom died this last year, so it was kind of nice to have everybody together like that. But
yeah,
it was definitely noisy. So a lot of kids.
Oh, Jesus. Lynda, how was your?
It was very quiet because I live in a place where it was Snowmageddon. We had a huge snowstorm on the Friday before Christmas Eve, and then another one on Christmas Eve. So a lot of people had no power. My sister was supposed to come from Ottawa. That didn't happen. So it was very quiet. We all sat around in our jammies and watched TV and drank and ate. So it was good.
That's what it's all about.
Not bad.
Ours was full of sickness. We were just, as you guys already know, I've been sick for on and off now for about 3 months, and finally shook it off. Touch wood. But yeah, it got to the final bout of this bronchitis thing, and then we took my daughter to emergency on day after Boxing Day, and she had pneumonia. So it was, but now, thankfully, everything's starting to go away from the house, but it was going around and around and around and around. Will it ever stop? But no, it's good. It was got to the point where I was coughing so much, I coughed to a certain point where I blanked out of work as well, because it was so deep and congested. It was so bad, but anyway, I'm alive anyway, so that's the main thing. So yeah, that was it.
That's fun.
Anybody get any new toys for Christmas?
Oh, I did. Yes. Oh. I got a Zoom N5 with a shotgun contraption for the top, and it's like I did a lot of research because I have the Zoom H4n Pro, and I did a lot of research between both of them to see whether it was worth upgrading or anything like that. And I got it Christmas Day, and it's like, holy cow, it's just so sensitive. And with the shotgun mic as well, it covers more radius than what it does with the. I've got like an XY, it's like two speakers on top of each other, but it just picks up so much more crisper sound around you. It's not it's not louder, but the sound that you hear is more clearer than what it is with other voice recorders, and it's just like completely night and day. But yeah, I got that.
That sounds awesome.
And I've been working, as you guys already know, I've been working on some trigger objects as well over the last few days, just messing around. And I'll grab them now. I've got sorry, bloody chair possessed. I got a flower pot with a PRI sensor on it, and a geophone as well, and it has a blackout sensor on it as well. So when you manipulate it, it just lets off a little buzzer with sound as well on there as well. So that's cool.
Nice.
And we've got a case coming up in the new year where there's The basic story is that there's a bit of alcohol abuse in relation to some of the story there with a couple of generations of the family, and it is kind of linked to one of the believed to be linked with one of the people that passed away there. So I've hooked up a CC bottle with a PIRR sensor as well, and a geophone with like a vibration sensor at the bottom as well. So that we're going to be using that as a trigger object.
Is the bottle full?
No, it's not. Otherwise, my buzzer will probably not work. But, I'm working on a bottle of vodka as well, and I'm trying to get some cigarettes as well from empty boxes of cigarettes as well, and I'm gonna make them into trigger objects as well for the investigation. So
Very
looking
cool.
forward to that.
That's
But-
awesome.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's nice to get my head stuck into stuff like that. But yeah, it's great. What
How
about
about you?
yourselves?
Any toys?
Not as cool as Peter's. I don't even want to go now. His is way better. Like I should have we should have ended on that one.
Yeah, sorry,
You know?
yeah.
So,
Burst of fire. there,
I
didn't
gotta watch.
Oh. Oh, okay. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. I got
Well,
a little
we have
bit
4, 5,
excited, didn't I?
You have 6 kids, and I gotta watch.
No.
You get some cool camera stuff. So.
Hey, it's better than
Yeah, I got a case of bubblies too, so that's good.
Oh,
better
that's
than
good.
just underwear and socks. You know, like
Awesome. But
Could be worse.
you, Linda, would you get anything nice?
I got a new digital camera because mine died. So that's a good thing. But aside from that, I just got like, a Snoopy toy, some perfume. It was pretty nice, but I did need a new digital camera because mine was something like 10 years old. Yeah, it's just not good.
That's cool. That's good.
It's good. No, it's good. How about you, Kathy?
I got some nice stuff from my kids, my sister. I took myself shopping, however, on Friday, and I bought a few of my own gifts. So
Good. Lovely.
yeah, it was good actually. Some clothes, and visited the Victoria's Secret store and stuff like that.
You know what Victoria's Secret is?
What's Victoria's Secret?
I know exactly what her secret is. She's hungry. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is it the underwear and all that?
She's
Yeah.
freaking cold too.
Yeah, she must be cold. Oh,
I walked by one of those stores and saw one of those mannequins, and I don't think Victoria has a whole lot of secrets left.
No.
Yeah.
I bet there's a few secrets in the changing room, so that's for sure.
You know what's funny though? My son will not go into the stores at all. Okay. I was like, do you want like, he's like, you go, I'll go over there. And I'm like, come on in. And he's like a scared rabbit look or scared deer look.
Especially with his mum as well. He's just like,
Okay. No,
He's like, I don't want to know what you're buying.
I know.
because Peter, maybe not Peter, but most guys would just be like, you feel like a creep. You walk in there and you got all these women looking, what's he doing in here? And and the last time I was in there, I just grabbed something. I was like, I was just going to try this on,
You do.
you don't. Yeah, as a guy, that's not a store that you go into.
When he
Even
was
with your
little,
mom.
he was about a year and
I
a
know.
half.
I think it was with your mum. Jesus.
When he was about a year and a half, we went in there and I was with my daughters and there was me and and all three of us were kind of looking around and here's my son and he walked right up to one of the mannequins and
Oh, jeez.
I was like, okay. I don't know what to say.
Well, that's when he's got it figured out. So
Yeah,
it's okay now.
And now he's just like, nope, I'm not going anywhere near there. Nope. He's like, nope. I'm like, come on in. No, we actually we were getting they have like a lot of I had bought my sister some really nice cologne and stuff from there, hey. and I was trying to convince him to go in, and he's like, there's not enough money in the world to make me walk into that store. It was funny. It was funny. But yeah, it was a really good Christmas. We had lots of fun. So
good stuff. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you guys tune in for the very first time and you like the content of the show, please subscribe to the channel and click on that notification bar. So this week we have decided to extend what we did just before Christmas. We have decided to discuss again part 2 of our most memorable investigations. I've uploaded some photos this week, and Trevor's got some footage as well. So we're just quickly, we can start with Trevor.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I was actually thinking back, Peter, back to the first time that you and I met during that investigation out at Fort Worden in Washington State. That was a really
there too. Then I must have met you there too. I don't remember.
Yes, you were. Kathy was there. Kathy was there.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah.
Actually, Kathy, we did meet because you were using your thermometer on, and I was in that room while you were doing that, and we talked there. And I was super fascinated because I hadn't considered using a temperature gun like that before, and you were getting some pretty cool results on that. It was, some of the investigations. I don't recall having any personal experiences there, but the location was beautiful.
Yeah.
The history was amazing. The bunkers were super creepy, especially at night. But the things that make it memorable are on that one were the people that I got to go with, and some of the things that happened.
Right.
And Peter, he's already laughing. Peter, do you remember the laser grid incident
with Cody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go on. That's what I was thinking of.
Come on. I don't.
So we have an investigator on my team. His name's Cody. He's actually he watches our show quite a bit. Love Cody to death. We've been friends for years. Anyway, Cody, he is scared to death of aliens. He has like just an unhealthy fear of the grays. I'm guessing this. He had some sort of experience, and I don't know. Anyway, we were walking through a more wooded section of Fort Worden, the park, and it was at night. And who had the laser grid, Peter?
Me.
It was you. Peter shot that laser grid. He just fires it off. And so all of a sudden, all the trees and the bushes just light up green. Okay. Cody hits the deck. I mean, he just drops to the ground onto his belly, screams, it gets up, takes off running the other way, and we're all standing there going, what just happened?
Run, dude, run.
No, I thought he had to go to the washroom or something like that. It was just the way he just darted off.
Oh, it was so funny. He just boom, gone, and we discovered that later. What was funny about that was earlier in the day, he was trying to prank one of our other investigators with a growl or like a sound of a dinosaur or something. He was trying to scare one of my investigators with that. So karma just kind of came full circle to him on that one. And, so that was definitely one of my most memorable investigations with you guys. So.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that was
hilarious.
It was quite a weekend. There was a lot of there's a lot of organising involved with that, and even on the day off, because Fort Worden themselves were very disorganised when we came, even though it was pre-planned for. I started planning it over a year before, and it was just it was good. It was nice to meet other folks there as well, because I met Pete and some of the other folks before that as well when we did the investigation at the penitentiary, Idaho Penn.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool on that. So yeah. So Kathy, what about yourself?
Oh my gosh, no! Start with Lynda.
Go on then.
Start with Lynda. Oh my gosh. Well, it's so hard, right? Because when you talk about the most memorable, it's like every one of the investigations that you do, something memorable happens, whether
Yeah.
something happens or not, that's, paranormal and really cool paranormally. I mean, something inevitably happens, right? Inevitably. I think one of the most memorable for me was we had set up equipment in this really old home where this woman was being kind of tossed around. I think I mentioned that last time. There were renovations that had happened in this old house that she lived in, and she was being picked up and tossed against the wall. And when we went back and visited with a psychic medium, the psychic medium had told us that there was an old sea captain that used to visit the home, which used to be an old inn. And she had renovated and torn down some walls. So the bathroom used to be 2 bedrooms, and it was renovated into being, of course, one big bathroom. And he was really ticked off because, this woman would come in and disrobe while he was trying to sleep. So it was... But in that particular home, she was seeing this apparition that used to walk down the stairs, this old lady. And again, you know this, when you put away all your equipment, that's when things start to happen. Oh, yeah. So of course, right. So we had put everything up, the cameras, etc. And everything was focused on the stairs, because this is where this old lady used to kind of walk down the stairs. And of course, what happened was she did, but only after every piece of equipment was turned off. And it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And we all just wanted like our Tim Hortons coffee. And sure enough, the temperature dropped. And this is something that I don't think I'll ever forget. It's only happened in a few of the cases that I've worked, but the temperature dropped so rapidly that it was absolutely freezing. So it went from 28 degrees down to I don't know, maybe 5. It was insane. And I thought, what the hell? And sure enough, this old lady came down the stairs, just kind of walked down the stairs, but she had no feet, which I thought was the most interesting thing, and went right through the front door. And the girl that I was with, we kind of looked at each other, and I said, okay, don't say anything. Grab your notebook and you write down what you saw. I'll write down what I saw, and then we'll switch books. So this is exactly what we did. And sure enough, we both saw the exact same thing. And the weirdest part was the minute she disappeared through the door, the temperature shot right back up again, and it was warm. And that freaked me the hell out.
So describe the apparition itself. Was it kind of that stereotypical ghost, kind of white?
No.
Was it like me looking at you walking down the stairs without feet?
It was solid as you and me and Trevor and Kathy. It was solid. I could see absolutely every detail. I could see every wrinkle. I saw her hair. I saw the wisps of her hair. And the weirdest thing is we both couldn't remember whether we looked into her eyes. She was very focused going down the stairs towards the front door. So we saw a profile, but we didn't sort of gaze into her eyes. We didn't make eye contact. So to me, it seemed, okay, well, this could be residual haunting, but it was so bloody perfect. She was solid as anything. So that is one of the cases that sort of remains kind of ingrained in my psyche. Like I remember it like it was yesterday, and it was terrifying and exciting all at the same time.
Well, it makes me wonder, because we talk about residual hauntings and how they're not really spirits. It's just energy that's trapped or recorded or whatever. But I've never heard of a residual haunt actually dropping the temperature.
Exactly.
That seems a bit more than just a residual haunt to me. But the fact that she was the front door closed, she went through the front door?
Yep, the front door was closed.
Because that's interesting, because that's where I would have initially said, okay, that's probably a residual, because typically intelligent haunts, they interact with their environment. You don't usually see those spirits walking through walls or closed doors and stuff. But I mean, we don't know what we don't know, I guess. That's an amazing experience, though.
That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. So after that, we had invited the same psychic who had all this information about the spirit in the bathroom upstairs to come back and to kind of see what was going on. And it was interesting because when they walked through the entire house, they were talking to, I guess, the spirit guide and talking to the various spirits because there were quite a few in the house. But after that psychic visited the home again, nothing happened. She never saw the woman walk down the stairs. There was never any activity in the bathroom. I know it's very strange, right?
Especially if you're defining it as a residual haunt as well. Well, it is, because obviously she had no interaction with you whatsoever. It's like, what makes that stop?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's like, I guess if we ever found that out, we'd be halfway, you know, in relation to discovering and how and why kind of thing more than anything else. So,
right.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I'll go next then, Kathy. How's that?
No, I'm good. It's up to you. If you want to go.
No, I can go. So this one was, and I think I mentioned it a couple of times on some of the earlier shows. This was probably the second, maybe the third. This may be the second investigation I did with Vancouver Paranormal Site when I took over from them. And this was a residential investigation in Surrey, BC. And we were there. We went there numerous times in relation to the activity. And every time we went, it was like there was a lot of validation in relation to supposedly who the person was. Without going into too much detail, we got the name of the woman that was supposed to be there, and we actually got her full name, and it turned out that she was in a local newspaper that she burned in a fire 2 blocks away. And we got evidence of actually her standing over the crib of the bed because she was very protective over a young child and stuff like that. This went on for probably the best part of about 6-7 months, and we went there about 3 or 4 times because it was pretty compelling every time we went. And it wasn't so much the personal experiences, it was like the EVPs, like the responses and the kind of things that were happening to us as well. It was the last investigation that we were there because we went back about 3 or 4 months later, and it was just a kind of a roundup of let's just do it one more time to see what happens. And both the clients, Brian and Christy, they turned around and said things had been dead in the house and stuff like that, and they said that you guys are welcome to come in, and so we did. We spent probably about 3 or 4 hours there, and it was around about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting in the hallway right by the kitchen, and the kitchen's right by the side of me, this side, and it had like an arch where there used to be a door, and when you looked into the kitchen, you could see the hobtop with like a digital time on there, and you could see the lights, and you could see the light on the fridge and stuff like that. And there was a couch opposite me as well, where one of my investigators were, and there was another couch opposite with two investigators over the other side. So we were just packing up, and I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm getting tired now. Nothing's really happening or anything like that. Anyway, I turned around and said that we're about to leave now. This is probably the last time we're going to come to here. So if you've got anything you'd like to say to us before we leave, please do so. If not, would you like to show yourself in light form? And there was a pause for a couple of seconds, and I went, okay, nothing. So packed up. I stood up, and my investigator, she got off the couch opposite me, and she came towards me, and she's got equipment in her hand and stuff like that. Anyway, she's talking away to me like that, and then all of a sudden I could see her, and her eyes are dragging towards the kitchen, and she just drops all her equipment on the floor, and she's like. So immediately I turn around and I look into the footprint of the kitchen, and I can't see directly in front of me. It was like a black mass in front of me, and I couldn't see it. It was almost as if there was a blindfold probably about a foot away from my face. I couldn't see either side of the kitchen. I couldn't even see the frame or anything like that. So I'm like that with my eyes, and because it was pitch black anyway, because we were adding to the effect, and I was trying to simulate some light in there. So I took a step back, and there was this mass figure standing in front of me, black form, like black shadow figure standing in front of me, and it was perfectly formed with a mouth. And this was totally out of character in relation to what was there before. It was always a small child there, and everything we got up to that point was we believed it was this particular individual. But then this guy was standing in front of us, like it was just like this massive energy, and in the back of my mind, it was just like, what do I do now? Like, I've got what I've finally searched for in front of me, and I walked into it. And I don't know why to this day I did or anything like that. I walked into it, and it disappeared. But what was interesting about it more than anything else is that, when people say that things are manifesting, there's either cold spots or there's in some particular cases, there's warm spots as well and stuff like that. I never got that. There was not a change in that energy at all. The only thing I felt was electric charge when I walked into it. And it just felt, like when you've got a 9-volt battery and you get like a nip off of that kind of thing. That's what it felt like in my body when I walked through it, and it just disappeared. And that was it. And it disappeared, and I went home and I couldn't sleep that night and stuff like that. But it was very... That for me was very compelling. I've had a couple of instances like that before in the past, but it was, there was no two ways what went on that night. Even the other 2 investigators that were with us, one of them is a doctor, and he was very kind of borderline non-believer, not skeptic or anything like that. But then after that night, he definitely changed his motive towards the paranormal, and that was our case.
It's funny how that works. I don't believe it. Look at that.
There was no right reason either, because it was months before. Like this is the first piece of activity that we noted in months in that place. Like nothing went on. It was completely silent, dead and stuff like that. And then bang, something manifested, and it didn't even correlate to the evidence we got previously. It was a male, and we always got a female, and it was just like the EVPs we got before, like even the smell, we got some of smoke, we pointed to a fire, and it was just all of that thing. It was just like, we got that final piece of the puzzle just to put on top, like the icing on the cake, and it's just like, boom, mind blown there. It's like, why are you even here? How did you get here?
Where'd you come from?
Oh no, it just didn't make any sense. But
yeah,
that brought back. It was interesting. I hadn't even thought about it, but that I had a very similar experience, Peter, at the Geyser Grand Hotel. I mean, the way that you described what you saw, I was like, oh my gosh, were we in the same place? Because we talk about shadow people and and things like that. I was down in the basement of the Geyser Grand, leading a public investigation with my friend Kelly, who's on my team. And I was standing at the back of the basement. She was at the front, and we had a few guests in between us. And they all had their cell phones and cameras up, and they were all filming. So you got the bright lights from their screens, and I can see all them, and Kelly's down at the end trying to get the little girl in the basement to interact, because that's, like you said, we catch a little girl down, we know what to expect, right? And I thought I heard some footsteps behind me. And so I turned around and I looked, and when I turned, there was nothing there. And I turned back around to look at everybody else, and they were all gone. All I could see was just black. Wow. Exactly like you were talking about. And I was like, where'd everybody go? And so I kind of called out to Kelly. I was like, Kelly, where'd you go? And she goes, I'm right here. And I could hear her. I haven't moved. I was like, well, I can't see anybody. So I just kind of stepped to the side, and through the screens came into view. And that's what I saw, the silhouette of the person. I could see the head. I could see the shoulders standing directly in front of me. And I didn't walk into him, I just poked him. So
with me is because we had the lights off in there, and the only light that we had was the light that was coming through the kitchen, and it was just like there was someone put a blanket out in front of that kitchen.
Amazing.
I couldn't see anything. Like there was no lights in the hallway or anything like that. The only light you probably got was the street lamp coming through the window behind us, but in front of me, nothing. It was completely black as black.
Yeah, it's and that's a good. I mean, it is black. It is like the abyss of darkness when you're looking at it. So it's crazy. So that's really cool, Peter. That's cool to hear that experience from you.
Unreal.
There's Kelly Wynn herself. There's Kelly.
There we go.
There's Kelly. Hi, Kelly.
Hello, Kelly.
Wow.
Okay, Kathy.
Well, I was gonna tell another one, but now we did have an experience with I don't know what it was. It was like a shadow man, I guess I want to say, like we always hear about the shadow person or the hat guy, the guy in the hat or whatever it is. And we had gone, I guess it wasn't really an investigation. It was sort of more a consultation, I guess is the best way to say it. And we had a few of us go to this one house, and the lady of the house had said that there was, a few things going on, and, footsteps, and, it was the typical type of haunting. But there was something, I don't know, we got there, and I felt like something was a little off with her husband, boyfriend, whatever he was. There was just, I don't know how to explain it, but it just felt, how you ask people, are you interested in the occult, or do you do anything, that could possibly stir things up? Nope. And then you see the evidence, pointing to the opposite, right? And nothing against the Ouija boards or whatever, but I mean, don't lie about it, like that's the main thing. And you could tell that he was just fishy, I guess is the best way to say, all about him was just fishy. And it kind of felt like she was giving him a lot of money, put it that, and I felt like there was something going on in that relationship that, what I mean, that had to do with all of this. It was a little bit off. Anyway, we were in the basement doing sort of an EVP session, and there was a few of us there. And at one point, she had mentioned that she kept seeing this shadow, this like man in the cowboy hat, And just before she had said that, I actually could see him in my head, I guess is the best way to say it. I saw him clear as freaking day in my head. He was wearing like the chaps. He was wearing, the hat, he was wearing the long trench coat. Like, you know what I mean? Like the typical, the way that they've seen him being described. Like I see, articles or whatever, people describing him after this had happened. And I thought, oh, okay. But the weird thing is that I also saw him go and pointed at one of our investigators. And it happened so fast that and then all of a sudden the investigator grabbed his leg, and I never said anything out loud. He grabbed his leg and he was like, oh my God, what the hell? He actually had a bruise on his leg about that big. And I was just sitting there like for a couple of seconds. I was like, did what just happen? Like it was so fast, because I could see the shadow guy just go boom.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden at the same time, the investigator was grabbing his leg. And it was such a quick interaction that I just sat there for a couple of seconds. I was like, oh, what did I just see? And the interesting thing is that this person was also pointing it at the gentleman of the house as well, but without pulling that, like actually he was just kind of following him. And it was a really interesting investigation. We got home, and we all got to our houses or whatever, and she actually sent us an email saying, oh, we don't want an investigation. My boyfriend has decided that he doesn't want one, and blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, something is freaking fishy over there. We just left it alone. But I tell you, it was weird. But the investigator's leg, we actually discovered later that he wasn't all on the up and up himself. So it kind of seemed like the shadow person was going, I don't know, I guess the best way to say it was like targeting those with not the best intentions.
Like Stephen King thinner.
Right. Yeah. It was really like, it was, but when he grabbed his leg, like he showed us, later, the bruise on his leg, and it was big, and it was, like as if something really hard had really smacked him right in the leg. And it was bizarre. It was bizarre. That was probably, the only investigation that I can really remember where we dealt with like the shadows of any sort. Like, you would see them occasionally, but nothing like what you guys have described. Like, I've never seen that, like, blackness. But this guy did appear in my head as very, very dark. I don't know if that was the same sort of thing, but I didn't see it with my eyes. For sure.
I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it because, I've heard of people being scratched. I've heard of people being pushed. I've even heard of people being slapped. Never heard of somebody getting shot by a ghost. So
I know, like that, and that was the
bizarre.
weird thing. Like, it was just, and it was so quick. You know what I mean? Like, I could see him go. I saw him point, and then it was just like you could see him do the whole, and then at this almost half a second. Oh my God, what just happened? Like, but there was no like I never said anything. There was no, I wasn't reacting to the thing. It was just so, and it took me, like, I'm telling you, I sat there for a couple of seconds going, what the frick just happened? Like, you're trying to comprehend the two incidents being put together. Yeah. So
that's amazing. Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. And it was, but it's weird because I've heard, and I don't know if you guys have ever, I know we're talking about investigations and stuff, but it's interesting because this isn't the first time that I've heard about this cowboy going, I guess not after, I wouldn't say that he's, really particularly hurt people, besides that was the only incident I've really heard about hurting, but people that are sort of, sketchy, like, let's say psychics that are charging like $1,000 for selling a crystal bracelet or some, you know what I mean? Like that sketchy type of behavior. I've heard a lot of where he's appeared and, where houses have started on fire, but somebody has seen him ahead of time, that sort of thing. It's interesting.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I've had kind of that theory about, that you want to dig in deeper, but right now it's just a theory, I guess, if that's the best way to say it,
Karmic cowboy.
Yeah.
There you go, karmic cowboy. Yeah. I've never experienced him beyond that, but I did hear about it a couple of times, from other people that had brought him up, right? I heard one lady say that she had seen him walk through her apartment into the lady next door. Like it was kind of like she walked through he walked through her apartment, but his intention was to go to the next door neighbor. And the next door neighbor happened to be one of those people that I was saying, like, selling crystals for some ridiculous price, and like basically a scam artist, right? Like, oh yeah, you have an attachment, and for the price of your first child, we'll get rid of it for you, that kind of person. And it was interesting because I was like, okay, And then, I've heard it before, and where that, like I said, the house burned down. There was somebody in the house that was acting up, and the house actually burned down, but somebody had seen him ahead of time.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
an interesting. That's a really interesting thing, Kathy.
It's something that I'm kind of wanting to dig deeper in. You know what I mean? And see if there is a theory behind that, or if there is some validation behind my theory, I guess is the best way to say it.
God, it's like a Twilight Zone episode, I swear.
It's like a guardian angel gone rogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
But we hear about watchers, in the paranormal world, and we hear about, things like that, right? Where, especially with the watchers that will just sort of, they don't really particularly interact. They just watch the interaction. We've seen those. We see all kinds of, different beings for sure, even ones that we can't really explain. They don't all need to be human spirit. But yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah. Next.
Lynda?
That's a really interesting thing, because the next thing I was going to talk about was going to a graveyard, which is really sort of steeped in history near where I live. Stephen Leacock is buried there. Big Canadian writer, Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town or whatever. I never really read much Stephen Leacock, but I do know that he did have a cottage somewhere up here, very, very popular, buried at St. George's Cemetery, along with there's a couple of people that are buried there that are quite prominent as well in Canadian literature. People like Mazo de la Roche, very, very popular. But that cemetery is quite old. It's in Sibbald Point, and we had gone up there as a team, very young team, like we're talking 2012, just to check it out, just to see what that whole area was like. And it was very interesting because we have a clairvoyant on the team. And the first thing that she said was, yeah, there are watchful spirits. There are like guardian spirits here. And I think that there are guardian spirits in every cemetery, every graveyard. So, if somebody is doing something untoward, if somebody is, defacing any property, that they're going to be either followed home, they're going to be told in no uncertain terms, psychically, something's going to permeate their etheric field to get them. And I thought that was a really interesting thing, because I'd heard that before, but she was absolutely 100% on that. She said, honestly, especially here, it's old. There's so much here, so many guardian spirits, and it's spirits of place. So, again, people always say, yeah, well, if I die, I don't want to stick around my own body. I wouldn't want to stick around a graveyard. It's not necessarily the people who are actually buried there that are sticking around. It's these guardian entities, these guardian spirits that are there to make sure that no shenanigans happen. And we were so conscious of that. You could actually feel it. The atmosphere was really electric. I mean, talk about electric. It was really crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folklore around London with a lot of the cemeteries around there. Especially there's Highgate Cemetery, which is famous, legitimately haunted and stuff like that. But I used to play around there when I was a kid, and it's that kind of folklore where it's not the spirits, it's not the ghosts of the people that died that are buried there. It's spirits that are guarding them there as well. And there's a lot of superstitions in relation to that in London as well, about that, those type of grave cemeteries and stuff like that. People will go and vandalize the shit out of London, and burn down buildings and stuff like that. Never touch cemeteries, never. It's just that line in the sand. But it's funny.
Agreed.
So my story goes back about 14 years ago when it was the very first investigation I took with Vancouver Paranormal Society, and it was with the old president, and it was in Maple Ridge, and Vancouver Paranormal Society apparently went there about 2 or 3 times, and the president then at that time, Jan, was she fed me with a lot of things that were going on there and stuff like that. So I was kind of very standoffish because, first time investigating in Canada, I wasn't too sure whether, it was more, they were fixed with like the TV, like ghost hunters and stuff like that, whether everything was theaterized and stuff like that. So I was very standoffish with her claims and stuff like that. With me, it's proof is in the pudding. I like to experience it myself. I like to see it myself. Yeah, that adds validation for my own self, my own selfish self, more than anything else. But anyway, this home was allegedly very active. Numerous things. The same, they can hear voices coming from the basement downstairs. They can hear doors shut, slamming and shut. Everything was pointed around the basement. So anyway, the first investigation we went out there. There was she had like 8 members of her team investigate this one basement suite, and it was just like, what is everyone doing here? Like, it was just, everyone was on top of each other and stuff like that. And it was just, so I got up and I said, look, there's just too many people here. I'm going to go. And she was like, no. Some of these people are going to go. She goes, come back in an hour. So I went home, came back an hour later, and there was just her and 2 other people there. And I thought, okay, we'll just see how it goes. So anyway, she sits down and explains what went on in the basement area and stuff like that. She said, yeah, that door at the end of the hallway, that opens and shuts when all the time. And she said, oh, we can't have any explanation about it whatsoever. I was like, oh, okay. So I literally just got up out the seat and the door swung open. And it was just like, oh. And she looked at me and she went, yeah, look, it's done it again. And I was like, oh, it's because the vent's above the door and it blew the door open. I said, the heating just came back on. She said, no, it's negative spirits. And she was trying to dismiss it, the paranormal. And I thought, oh God, here we go. It's one of these. So anyway, I sat back and I didn't have a lot of equipment then. I had a parabolic mic and I bought a millimeter. So I'm sitting there in this chair and she's asking questions and it was like nothing was really happening. So I'm just there in a chair. I've got my finger on the trigger on the mic and I've got my head back. And this chair was really comfortable. It was more comfortable than a lazy boy. I kind of snuggled right into it and stuff like that. Anyway, I've fallen asleep like on the chair, but I've fallen asleep in a way that wasn't noticed to anyone else because it was. So I'm asleep and I've got my finger on the trigger, and then all of a sudden I'm dreaming about something, and all of a sudden I can hear like that. And I've got up and I've gone, what the fuck is that? And I've dropped all my stuff on the floor like that. And she's looked at me like that, and I looked over at her, and the guy that was with us as well, Dan, and he was like laughing his head off. And she was sitting there eating chips like that out the bag. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's going, oh, I'm hungry. I said, we've got voice recorders everywhere, and I'm just lost it. It's probably because I got woken up. It's like waking a bear up, and I'm like in front of her. And the woman's upstairs, like, you don't fucking do it like that. And I'm just like, really like. Anyway, I simmered down, and I was like, so we sat down, and Jan turned around and said, well, I'm going to go now. I'll leave you and Dan here. And then she went up and left, and it was just me and Dan. So I'm like small talk with Dan and stuff like that. And I was just like, I can't believe she was sitting there eating chips, stuff like that, and during an investigation. And he was laughing his head off. He goes, this is my second one as well. And it's quite funny. Anyway, we're giggling, and then things went quiet again, and it got. I think it was around about 2:00 in the morning. I'm still awake, but you just daydreaming, staring at a wall. You're waiting for anything to happen.
Yeah.
And so we heard a bang upstairs, and the woman obviously came in, and we heard the pattering of the footsteps, and the dog came downstairs, sniffed around her, and we were like patting the dog and stuff like that. And I got up and went to the washroom. So went to the washroom, came back out, and Dan just sitting in the chair and that kind of thing. And I assumed the dog went back upstairs, so that was great. And so we sat in the chair like that, and things went quiet again. And it was about 5-10 minutes later, I sat in the chair, and then all of a sudden I heard a "get out" like that, and I was like that, and I looked over at Dan, and Dan looked at me, and Dan's like that, and I went, did you hear that? And I'm like, I was like, I couldn't move, like I was scared, right? And he was like, yeah, and I said, it must be like the heat or something, and he said, yeah, and I said, okay. So I just about get out of the chair like that, and I heard again, get out like that, and I was like, fuck, like that. So I sat back down, and Dan went, I can't handle this. So he got up and pulled himself off the chair, and then all of a sudden we bang like that, and the dogs got up from under the table and run off, and he had one of the squeaky toys in his mouth. And just as he walked away, he spat on the floor and trod on it, and as he trod it, you could hear that "get out" like that. I mean, like, honestly, it was just one of the funniest moments ever. I just thought it was that one moment of validation, and I froze because it was just like, okay, it's happened now. What do we do now? What do I do now? What do I do now? Act calm, act professional. It's just like, can't freaking move. I just.
Oh, that's funny.
There is another one as well. I've got another quick story for you as well. There's a famous psychic in England, and when I say famous, he's been on TV a number of times, and I did an investigation about 20 something years ago in England, and it was we had the local reporters out and stuff like that, and this guy was going to be showboating it because this local renowned psychics in town and stuff like that, and that kind of thing. Anyway, it was like a frosty evening, and we were up on these stairs, and we were up on this top floor of this house, and there was like a fire escape on the side, and we're walking around, and he's going, oh, there's a guy in here called Fred, and it was just like irritating me and stuff like that. So anyway, he's opened the door of the side door, and there was like a fire escape going down the side, like a spiral staircase. But he's taken his foot and he's slipped, and he's gone down, and he's hit the spiral staircase, and he's gone down all the way to the bottom, and he's crashed, and all you can hear is ah! And I'm trying not to laugh because he's got like his coat's going everywhere. It's gone over the top of his head. It kind of looked like a Benny Hill sketch as he's rolling down the stairs. And he's just laid there on the floor like that. And then under my breath, I had the reporter by the side of me, and one of my investigators, I said, I bet he didn't see that coming, did he?
That's my favorite thing to say about psychics. Didn't see that one coming?
I know. Usually I'm pretty reserved, and I don't think a thing is just like that. And the moment I said that, everyone just was in tears. Like, they couldn't say anything. It was just like, and he was like, are you okay? And everyone was laughing and stuff. And he was just so, he was so flustered that someone burst his bubble and stuff like that. It's funny. Anyway.
That's funny.
Oh, no.
We got to show your clip.
Okay, yeah, we got one more little one here for you. This, I can't remember if I told you guys about this place or not. So Indian Creek Museum in Caldwell, Idaho here. And it was originally built as like, I think a medical practice or a doctor's office, a dentist's office. It doesn't look like much from the outside, but this building it's got like 30 rooms, and the museum is they have just artifacts on top of artifacts. It is cluttered. So much stuff in there, lots of history. It's really, really cool. In this one of these rooms, we call it the cadaver room. They have a cadaver table in there, and on that table is an actual skeleton, which they found in a coffin in the closet in the museum. They literally had skeletons in the closet. So they have this skeleton that was apparently a body donated to science. And anyway, so it's in this medical room. And we were privileged, according to the patrons there, the people that were organizing this, we were the first team to get to investigate this place, which is really, really neat. Anyway, so this clip is one of the EVPs that we caught with one of our cameras. This was about 10:30 at night in downtown Caldwell, and it's pretty obvious. It'll be about 5 seconds into the clip, and there's a voice that definitely should not be there. So we'll let Kathy play it.
Okay, hang on.
Did you hear it, Peter?
I just turned my volume up. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll play it a couple more times. It's just wild, actually. Make sure you guys have your volume on your computer here.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. So in the middle there,
Trevor.
What's that?
Could you tell what it was saying?
It sounds like it's a child saying hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
And which was kind of creepy. So, it was really neat. This was one of those investigations. These are the type of investigations that blow my mind, because to me, there was nothing, there was no history of a haunting. There was no stories, no reason for us to do that. We were asked to come in and investigate, just to check it out and see if we could find anything.
Yeah.
None of us had personal experiences that night, save one minor one when a few of us were in the room that you're looking at right here. This is the cadaver room. If you look towards the back middle there, that's the cadaver table with the skeleton on it. The skeleton head is towards the left of the table there. And there's a cart that has some oxygen bottles in it. At one point, and we have this on our website, you can go and look at the evidence. We're just standing there, and all of a sudden those oxygen bottles start clinking together. Like somebody brushed up against them or knocked the cart, and we couldn't repeat it without grabbing the bottles and clinking them together ourselves. So it's a really neat place. And maybe one of these days I'll get to show it to you guys. But yeah, that was definitely a really cool child voice. It has no business being there. It was pretty cool. So
I'm just going to play it one more time. Hold on a second. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, it caught us all off guard when we caught that. So, it kind of goes to that. I kind of have this theory that I think more places have spirits than we realize. I think spirits are probably pretty much everywhere. Yeah. So, and as technology improves and our investigation practices improve, I think we're going to catch more and more evidence like that. So,
absolutely.
I agree.
I think so too. Yeah. Crazy.
Hey, that concludes the show for this week. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And we will be back next week with another show, yet to be determined. So if there's any questions in regard to the show or anything like that, please add it to the comments section at the end. And we'll be back next week. Thanks, guys, and have a wonderful week.
Take care, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.